Okay. It's Tuesday. Are you ready? First, I'd like to say peace to the gods. Welcome to True Tuesday with your host, Akeem L.
He knows more than you can imagine.
The truth. Well, the truth is, you got to get yourself together. The truth. The truth is, you got to get your mind right. The truth. The truth is, you got to get your paperwork in order. The truth is, hindsight radio. I'm listening, but are they listening? Hindsight radio. What you talking about? Okay. What about Tuesday? Yo, Akeem, pick me up. Yo, turn that on, son.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you'll be able to listen to the show.
At last. Hindsight radio. The truth is Tuesday. With your host, Akeem L. The truth.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Truth Tuesday show with your host, Akeem L, here on Hindsight Radio, the information station changing the nation. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing great myself. But before I start this show and go into what I wanted to talk about, I just thought I would go into a bit of history and show you guys some things that you might not have noticed. Like right now, I got a picture of old Penn Station in New York up. Oh, and you can see the architecture. I just want to just show you some images. Old Penn Station. That's the front of it right there. That's New York Pics, Penn Station, New York City. You can see this old architecture here. Oh, let me see if we can make it bigger. Let's enlarge that just a little bit. You can see, you can get the gist of that. That's ancient architecture there, right? So that's Penn Station, and this is New York Supreme Court, County Supreme Court down in Manhattan, New York. This is Supreme Court. See that architecture there? This is what it looks like. Now, remember last week I showed you guys the World Fairs and how they looked, right? Now, I lived in New York half my life. I lived in New York, and I saw these buildings. I was like, those are just buildings, you know? They didn't. Well, one day I was down in that area. I was walking to the DMV from the World Trade Center. That's when I worked there at the time, and I went through this block, and it was the Supreme Court, and it sits in almost like an octagonal area, like with other buildings. And I was like, man, that's odd that building sits like that, the way it sits. And I didn't pay it any attention, and I kept it moving over to the DMV because I think I had to register my vehicle or something. So that's the Supreme Court building. And this is one center street in New York here. Now, if you watched the show last week, these buildings look just like those buildings that were in the World's Fair, up in Chicago and different places. That's one center, Manhattan. There it is. Just these are ancient buildings. These are not buildings that were constructed a couple of 100 years ago. These buildings was I would say at least 1,000 years old. These buildings here, and I'm gonna prove it to you that they are at least that old. And here it is again, the little dome on top, just like the one in the Bronx Zoo. That building very similar, but this is just a little bigger. These now the structure of these buildings are way different than the modern buildings that they're building today. You know, you see a little green up there. That could be like brass. You know, how brass over time oxidizes and it'll turn green like that. So, all right, let's keep going. This is the post office in New York, the main post office in New York. This is the building here where my mouse is. This is the inside of it. These are post offices here. U.S. Post Office. Look at this building. I mean, this is a post office. Not like the ones down here in the South, these little small buildings. This is the main post office in New York. Very similar structure to the courthouses, right? Very similar. Here's another one, Getty Museum. They call it New York Post Office. I think it's City Hall. Here's another closer shot over here. Now, these buildings look a lot like those buildings that they built in the fairs. And they look a lot like other buildings. All right? We just never paid attention. We these things were in plain sight. We just ignored them. Right? So let's keep going. This is the New York World Fair from 1964. Nothing in this 1964 depiction. They had just, some basic. We might want to describe. I am describing. I just said that was the post office building. What do you mean? Can you hear me? Are y'all hearing me? Hang on, let me see. I'm on there. You guys hear me loud and clear, right? Yeah. Somebody in the chat, let me know who's on. Is my mic on? Somebody said, "Oh, they hear me." I am describing. I thought I was talking about. All right. So this is the New York World Fair. Nothing big here. This is because things are a little more modern, showing you some future tech that they're going to be working on. So let's go now. What caused me to look up all of this today was I was reading in Revelations about these 7 churches that John had got a vision of, right? And so I decided, let's see what these churches look like today. So this is the church of Pergamos. Look at the structure. Isn't that very much like what I just showed you? New York court buildings, very similar structures. Look at that. See if we get some more better images. So that's the church of Pergamos. And this is Thyatira. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is some remains of that church here. See if we can get a better one. 7 churches of Revelation in Turkey. This is a depiction here. This is a picture. Here's over here, churches of Asia Minor. These buildings looking a lot alike. Okay, let's go to the next one. Church of Sardis. These are all mentioned in the Bible. These are the ruins of that. Here. All right. See, they all have these little pyramids on them, little circle in the middle. And let's keep going. The Isle of Patmos. See a little big castle in the back. But what I want you to pay attention to is this little dome right here. And then on the buildings, you notice, especially this one here, they have the same little things. These buildings are not big and megalithic like the other ones. I just want to show you the designs that they're using here. So let's keep going. These are the Church of Philadelphia. When I pulled that up, I'm not sure if these are the ones that they mentioned in the Bible, but these are some of the churches in Philadelphia and how they look. Very similar designs. I'll tell y'all why I'm showing you these things. See, very similar design. Church of Christ, Christ Church, Philadelphia, Christ Church. Here's another picture of it over here. There's plenty of churches in Philadelphia that have these that look ancient. Here's a Myrtle Maze Boutique Church, the 57 Cent Church. Look inside of these churches. I mean, huge ceilings. You know what type of equipment it would take to build these things? Look inside. Looks very similar to the outside of the buildings that you saw in New York, the court buildings. This is St. Peter's, I think. Here, look at the architecture. Another one of these domes. So let's keep going. Now, we're going to go to the World Fairs. This is Chicago. I showed you, this is Chicago World Fair, and I showed you all of the buildings. Very similar designs as what I showed you. You can't tell me they built all of this in a year. I will not believe that nonsense. If you believe that, they got plenty of bridges they're selling that you can invest in right now. Look at these. They built this in a year? Please. Come on. Let's skip over to Brazil. Same, similar designs. I mean, these designs are like incredibly detailed and stunning. I would love to see buildings like this, see the inside of them. All right. That's Brazil, some of them. And I'm giving you some mod. Here's another one. 1889 Exposition. Here's a building here. Now, this is, I showed you Penn Station already. All right. Now, here's another building that looks the same. This brings it home. This is the Vatican City. This is Vatican. Very similar in design. Why am I showing you this? The reason why I'm showing you this, because all of these court buildings, all of them, are connected to here. This Vatican City. So when you're walking into a court building, you are actually walking into a church. They are conducting church business. They are putting you into their religious structure, rules and regulations. And some of you don't even know that that's what you're doing. They have a certain system that you must abide by. They have rules and regulations, and they have a rules of order in their system. So this is why when you walk in, you're coming in as a sinner, a heathen, and you always lose. Because you don't know that you're walking into a church and you are worshiping a false god. I just showed you all of these different buildings and brought it home to the Vatican, and they all designed the same. All of it. If I let's see. Look at that. They all connected. There's a reason for that. They build their temples for their followers. Look at this. I wish the picture would get clearer so you can really see. You got a little star fort under there, a little star here, how it's shaped at the bottom of the base. Yeah. So I just wanted to show that to you guys. And then you'll see and get a better idea of what you're dealing with when you're hitting these courtrooms. These people are putting you under their religious doctrines and executing orders against you. And the only way you can offset that is by you getting connected to your doctrine, whatever that is, and say you're not going to participate in that. But if you want more details on how I put that out there, that is my premium membership offers that. So with that being said, let's start the show. All right, let's get started. Y'all know I always have to get started with building you up because the world is trying to tear you down with news and bad news about vaccines. 1 minute they said the vaccines are good for you. Now they're talking about it can give you herpes and all kinds of other craziness going on. I don't worry about it because I'm not going to take it anyway. So that's somebody else's problem. Now we got someone, we seem like, I wouldn't even say we, there seems like a victory. They convicted the cop who kneeled on the man's neck. I'm so out of touch, I can't even remember the guy's name. George Floyd, I think it is. Is that his name? That's how out of touch I am with the news. I can't even give you names. They convicted him on all counts, and I know some people are celebrating. And that is a cause for some people to get some type of justice. Justice, when we take a life, I don't think there's enough justice. I don't think that is enough to just, send him to jail. He took a man's life for life. His family have to deal with the fact that he's no longer with them over something simple. But those are things that we could allow to tear us down. The news clips about all of the world issues that are going on. Because of the pandemic, people lost jobs, are not making the money that they wanted to make or they thought they would make for the year. But those are things that are illusionary because they appear to be a problem when they're really not a problem. Everything you deal with, everything you experience, everything good, everything not so good is a direct result of the ideas in your mind, what you believe in. I chose to take the high road, not to get caught up in the fear of a pandemic and all the other stuff that they might do, and live my life and still travel and see things and then have a great time. You see? And you can do the same thing. You could choose to live your life. One thing, my body, your body will cease to exist one day. We're not getting away from that. History has proven that it will go away. It will not function anymore. One day. When? Big question. But I'm not going to worry about when. I'm going to worry about now. Enjoying my life to the best. Fill my mind with positive information. I spent most of the day on the computer just looking and listening to videos about history, just things that I never took notice of before. I noticed them, but never paid detailed attention, like what I was showing you about all these buildings. We have history in plain sight. And I believe that these things that they talk about in the Bible didn't happen that long ago. Just looking at the structures around the world that are still here and exist today. And I think the ones that are in ruins probably was purposely torn down to give you a false narrative of what history is. I did an interview this morning with a Dr. Mahdi. I had him on my channel before. I'm gonna play that at the end of the show after I go over everything that I wanted to talk to you about, which was modern money mechanics, how your money works, how they are creating liabilities and making you liable. But we were talking about how the body heals. And you'll hear in the interview that he told the story about a woman who got her finger cut off, part of it, and it grew back by just wrapping it in some a certain plant. You'll hear the details when I play the video. And we were talking about how powerful we are as beings, how we are all pretty much light beings. We are light bringers. And some people have their specialty. Some people bring light to a subject that really needs to be addressed. Some people like myself just choose to hit on topics like, hey, you have to be 100% responsible for your life if you want it to change. You can't go around blaming her, him, that, and this, and racism, I'm black, and all of these things for not being successful. Those are all excuses. Those are all lies that you give yourself to continue to be in the position that you're in. We have a tendency to lie to ourselves. And in the way we lie, we have to lie to be successful. What do I mean? What you have to do is tell yourself, I am wealthy. I am a millionaire in order to be a millionaire. So we do have to tell ourselves a story. We have to fantasize. You see, all too often people are fantasizing or telling stories in a negative way. They say things like, I am broke. I can't get it right. This is impossible. They tell lies like that. And I'm saying, if you're going to tell a lie that supports you, that makes you better. Fantasize on things that brings you good things. You know, we bring negative experiences into our space through our thoughts. We do. We create them. I know I create mine. I could choose to be in a bad mood and then try to bring bad moods to other people around me. And what do I get back? More bad mood. I get a bad reaction from those people. And then when I change my mood, I get a good reaction for the most part. You see? I was dealing with an insurance situation yesterday, didn't get resolved. So I took a break. I got on the phone, got another person who was in a better mood. I was in a better mood, and it got resolved the way I needed to do. All I had to do was take a break. Sometimes your breakthroughs come through by you just taking a break and backing off, and then go try it again somewhere else. Some of you guys are having a hard time getting your name change done. Take a moment and do some self-reflection on what are you thinking about. It is not under their control to make a decision in your favor. It is all in your control. If they're not making a decision in your favor, that means you have aligned with that decision not going in your favor. Oh, I know that's shocking. No one wants to. No, that's not. Yes, it is. You allowed that experience to get into your consciousness, and you had a belief system that supported that decision. Take responsibility. We are all gods, all of us. And we have the power to make life how we want it, how we see fit. As long as it's not hurting someone else. Remember, what you put out is what you get. What you reap, you sow. What you sow, you reap. Whatever way that goes. What you give is what you get. It is better to give than it is to receive. Why? When you give good seed, you get good seed. You give good things, you get good things. See, what I see people will do, right? They'll give something for a little while, and let me see how this works. Let me see if it's right. But see, in the back of their mind is doubt, so they never see the results of that good deed because you are not faithful to your giving. Meaning, your consciousness not as aligned in a positive way for you to receive good back. See, when you give, you have to just totally let go. Hey, okay, I'm giving this and I know I'm going to receive good. I know this is not an experiment. I see people doing, I did it for this long and it ain't working. I'm stopping. You wanted to stop from the very beginning. They do see people doing that in relationships. I tried it this way. I did it this way full of, and I'm still not getting results from it. Why? Because you did it with a selfish motives. You did it because you wanted something in return. Meaning you did it with the suspicion that they would not return it. I'm gonna do this and see how they act. Right? Come on. We have to be honest with ourselves. We get what we give. And all of you out there that's having troubles and with your money, your relationships and stuff like that, you are at the center of that very issue. Go stand in the mirror and do some self-checking. You know, self-check yourself. See why this is happening to me. Why? And you'll see that the devil is you. You the devil. You're the problem. You're the one that need fixing. And what I mean by fixing, it's just a simple consciousness shift. Just shifting thought. That's it. Just change your thought. You will never outrun your belief system. You will never outgrow your belief system. Dr. Mahdi said that in our interview that I'm going to play at the end of this show. It's about an hour and a half long. So it's going to be a pretty long show. Someone said lack of faith. Yes, a lot of people have lack of faith. And the one thing that you have lack of faith of in yourself. You believe your surroundings is what's dictating your outcomes. Until you go within, you will never receive without. Human light man. Yes, Jamie. Said, yes, you are in the book. You're welcome, Terrell Bay. He says, I'm in the book. Thank you, God. Of course, I do my own work, but I'd like to say thank you. I'm 5 times everything, straight up. Good words. Let's see. Let's see who else is in the chat. Yes, the ancestors did build those architectures. Tartarians, yes. That's what they told Tartania. And that's in an old map. There was an atlas on eBay of Tartaria, and they wanted $730 for that atlas. And I was tempted to buy it. I wanted so bad. It's an old map. And when you look at it, California, all of those areas were ancient sites, and they call it conspiracy theory when you talk about that. But if it's such a conspiracy theory, why are they removing the videos when people do it on it? Like there was a video where a guy did the infant incubators or the baby incubators that they had during the World's Fairs at these fairs. And they had one in Coney Island. As a matter of fact, I did have an image of Coney Island up here. Let me show you that. But just not to forget, listen, you're the orchestrator of your life. Everything you want, you can have. You just have to know it and have faith in yourself. Here we go. I'm gonna share the screen. This was odd. This thing went on for like 30 years. They were doing these baby incubators. Oh, all right. These are the baby incubators. They claim this is all in Coney Island. And they went around the world too, but they started in Coney Island. Now the people say kids. Now does that look normal? How he's holding that baby right there? There was these so-called premature babies. They look like they're twins or clones or something. They look the same. Now people will call these people conspiracy theory. This is when they were making clones and repopulating is what they're trying to say. Let's see if I can give you some images of Coney Island back in the day, and the structures there look almost like the ones I just showed you. And they tore them all down. These are the newer ones. Let's see if we can get some old ones. New. This is back in the day, right here. This one over here. Oh, they want to give me. See, now that I can't find all of the old images. Let's see. Let's do old. Here we go. Look at that. That's Coney Island back in the day. Looks a lot like those other images to me. Yeah, they got some explaining to do. They've been lying to us, y'all. They've been lying. They didn't stuck us in that factory educational system and told us they just created a whole narrative for us to believe in. Look at this. This is this one right here. Looks just like the courthouses. Yeah, they've been playing. All right, let's get back to what I wanted to tell you and talk to y'all about. Let's remove that. I don't want to distract y'all. All right, modern money mechanics. Why is this important? A couple of weeks ago, I did a show about obligations of the United States or liabilities, and where you have to trade in your fiat money for lawful money. So let's see, where's my modern money mechanics thing? So I was gonna show you how they create this bread. They're creating bread. Your deposits create the money. What you deposit in the bank creates money. They get to see, once you deposit the money, it becomes a liability for the bank because they owe you that money. Hang on. Let me do a little search on my computer. Had it up, but I must have now of course I can't find it. Maybe this document will I had that thing. Okay, let's do a little search for it here on Google. It's out there. Okay. All right. Get a PDF if I can find it. They kind of try to make this thing a little hard to find. All right, I got it. Let's share the screen. Close this one out. Money of account. It's called. Oh, add to stream. All right. Modern money mechanics. And this is from the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. So this is their information that they shared with the public. It says, what is money? Right here. What is money? If money is viewed simply as a tool used to facilitate transactions, only those media that are readily accepted in exchange for goods, services, and other assets need to be considered. So money is whatever can be exchanged for something, which is basically barter. Like the money in my pocket, if that store that I'm going to accepts it, it's a medium of exchange, basically. Many things, from stones to baseball cards, have served this monetary function through the ages. The indigenous, the ancestors, the natives of this North American continent, they used to use shells as a medium of exchange. And I think they were wampums or something. I got some here. So back to the article. Today in the United States, money used in transactions is mainly of three kinds: currency, paper money, coins in the pockets and purses of the public, demand deposits, non-interest bearing checking accounts. And by the way, side note, everyone should be, if you work with me, you need to be getting this type of account. Non-interest bearing checking accounts. Because you're not receiving a benefit, and the feds have no jurisdiction. And other checkable deposits, such as negotiable order of withdrawal, now accounts at all depository institutions, including commercial and savings banks, savings and loan associations, and credit unions. Traveler's checks also are included in the definition of transactions money. Since $1 is current in currency and $1 in checkable deposits are freely convertible into each other, and both can be used directly for expenditures. They are money in equal degree. However, only the cash and balances held by the non-bank public are counted in the money supply. So if you hold money in your pocket, that's in the money supply, in the public. Deposits of the U.S. Treasury, depository institutions, foreign banks, and official institutions, as well as vault cash and depository institutions, are excluded. This transaction concept of money is the one designated as M1 in the Federal Reserve's money stock statistics. Broader concepts of money, M2 and M3, include M1 as well as certain other financial assets such as savings and time deposits at depository institutions and shares in money market mutual funds, which are relatively liquid but believed to represent principally investments to their holders rather than media of exchange. While funds can be shifted fairly easily between transaction balances, these other liquid assets, the money creation process takes place principally through transaction accounts. In the remainder of this booklet, money means M1. So what they're saying is the only way money basically is created is through you making a deposit. You deposit $1,000, becomes a liability, and they get to pull $1,000 from the Federal Reserve. Let's see. Here it is. It says, who creates money? Changes in the quantity of money may originate with actions of the Federal Reserve System, the central bank, depository institutions, principally commercial banks, or the public. The major control, however, rests with the central bank. The actual process of money creation takes place primarily in banks, as noted earlier. Checkable liabilities of banks are money. So what they're saying, once you place that money in the bank, it becomes a liability to the bank. You just created money. These liabilities are customers' accounts. They increase when customers deposit currency and checks when the proceeds of loans made by banks are credited to borrowers' accounts. So basically, you're loaning the bank money when you put money in the bank, and then they give you a hard time about getting your money out. Why? Because they don't want to pay you back. They lose when you take the money out. You see? In the absence of legal reserve requirements, banks can build up deposits by increasing loans and investments so long as they keep enough currency on hand to redeem whatever amounts the holders of deposits want to convert into currency. This unique attribute of banking business was discovered many centuries ago. It sounds more like a money laundering to me, but who am I? It started with goldsmiths. As early bankers, they initially provided safekeeping services, making a profit from vault storage fees for gold and coins deposited with them. People would redeem their deposit receipts whenever they needed gold or coins to purchase something, and physically take the gold or coins to the seller, who in turn would deposit them for safekeeping, often with the same banker. Everyone soon found that it was a lot easier simply to use the deposit receipts directly as a means of payment. So they, instead of actually taking the physical gold or silver out of the bank, they had these receipts, and that was the medium of exchange. These receipts, which became known as notes, were acceptable as money since whoever held them could go to the bank and exchange them for metallic money. So there was a time these notes were backed by whatever you deposited with the banker. We know now that is no longer the case. Your money is not backed by anything. It's only good as what it can buy, what you can exchange it for. That's what it's worth. So if you can't exchange it for anything, it's worth nothing. It's just paper. Then bankers discovered that they could make loans merely by giving their promises to pay or banknotes to borrowers. In this way, banks began to create money. More notes could be issued than the gold and coin on hand because only a portion of the notes outstanding would be presented for payment at any one time. Enough metallic money had to be kept on hand, of course, to redeem whatever volume of notes was presented for payment. Transaction deposits are the modern counterpart of banknotes. It was a small step from printing notes to making book entries, creating deposits of borrowers, which the borrowers in turn could spend by writing checks, thereby printing their own money. So when you write a check, you're basically printing your own money, is what it just said. So what limits the amount of money banks could create? If deposit money can be created so easily, what is to prevent banks from making too much? More than sufficient to keep the nation's productive resources fully employed without price inflation. Like its predecessor, the modern bank must keep available to make payment on demand a considerable amount of currency and funds on deposit with the central bank. The bank must be prepared to convert deposit money into currency for those depositors who request currency. It must make remittance on checks written by depositors and presented for payment by other banks, settle adverse clearings. Finally, it must maintain legally required reserves in the form of vault cash and or balances at its Federal Reserve Bank equal to a prescribed percentage of its deposits. So they have to keep a percentage of their deposits on hand to be able to convert from deposit to currency, physical currency. So they have to do that. So that's why if you run into a bank and you want a large deposit, they take their time, because that throws their books off. They got to make accountability for that. All right. Let's skip down to, let me do Control F, Command F. And that is No, I want to do on this document. All right, let's see. I want to look. I'm trying to do a show. There it is. Fractional. I want to skip down to fractional reserve system, how they're making this money. It's not giving me everything. Because there's a diagram here that shows you how you put $9,000 in. Now my computer wants to play games with me. Let's go back. All right, there we go. Let's do Control F again. Oh, my father's calling me. He usually doesn't call. Okay, there it is. Fractional reserve system. All right, there's a chart I want to show you how they create. They can create up to 9 times, but they can go up to 10 times the amount of the deposit. I can't find it right now. And I want to give my father usually doesn't call me. So what I am going to do, and my camera. My camera went out on me. Let me switch cameras here. All right, there we go. All right, go read that. That shows you how they create money. And the reason why I wanted to show you that is because whenever you get money, say if you are, let's just say you're a 1099 employee and they give you that 1099 miscellaneous saying that you owe them they paid you some money. Now what that does is they report that to the IRS. But you already know that they didn't really give you any money. They just gave you promissory notes, which is FRNs, Federal Reserve notes. And those are liabilities of the United States. So you got to trade that in. That 1099 got to be traded in for lawful money. And another hint, whenever you open up a bank account, you must let them know you want all your checks. When you deposit in checks, you want to redeem that in lawful money. This way it doesn't get fractionalized. It doesn't get used in creating inflation. You see? All right. What I'm going to do really quick, so I can see what my pops want. He usually doesn't call. Last time he called me, it was something serious. So I'm gonna play this and I'll be right back. Oh, here we go. All right. Once again, driver's license webinar 2. Thanks for tuning in. And you guys are gonna get a lot of information. I'm gonna go over some little bit of history on why I did another webinar. And then we're just gonna be mainly dealing with the templates, what to give them, how to deal with the opposition, because always there's some type of opposition. And remember, when you're getting opposition, check your attitude, because a lot of opposition, most of the opposition comes from your perception of the people you're dealing with. In this community, in this space, a lot of people have a negative look at the people in government. And you have to remember, these people are doing a job. They went to school. They believe they're doing something right in their mind from their world perception. That's what they think. So if you come at them with hostilities, you're going to be met back with hostilities. Even if you have that thought in your mind, it can help. It could possibly get you rejected. Yes, some places are tougher than others, but remember, you are the creator of all things you are experiencing, and take responsibility for that. All right. I know on the screen you guys see my Department of State authenticated passport application. Where was I? All right. this process, I would like for everyone, a few of you, I know you already done my passport process. I don't know if everybody's done it, but this is to be done after you do the passport process, if you can. Some of you guys got issues with the IRS, got issues with child support that will not allow you to get a passport until that is rectified. So one of the documents you're going to be submitting is your authenticated copy of your passport application, along with the other stuff I'm going to show you. So that's what I'm adding to it. Plus, I changed the language in some of the documents, and I'm also adding years ago we talked about the injunction. So that has been changed. It's kind of, you can still look at it like an injunction, but that is going to be an option you can include with submitting your paperwork. All right. Someone said they're waiting for 2 months for the authentication. Yes, authentication takes a while. Sometimes they call you, and if you don't answer, they'll send you a letter. But it took me 3-4 months to get mine back. And COVID has not been helping that situation out at all. All right. So let's go to, close the screen out. Let's go here. I'm going to share the screen in a minute. As soon as all right. Every state, well, I won't say every. Yes, Michael, you have to request.
This is Hindsight Radio. I represent it. The information station changing the nation.
All right, let's go over here, share the screen. All right, I'm back. All right. Yeah, he didn't want nothing. He was calling me back. I didn't call him. All right. Anybody want to call in? 563-999-3615. I was trying to find out how they deposit the money. I'll put the link to this document. Some of you've already know this thing in the chat room for you. Go read it. You guys are making money all the time when you put that money in the bank. And don't even know it. You got to, baby, recoup that. That's the type of stuff that I reveal in the class, showing you guys how to do it properly so you don't have any problems with them boys. And you're conducting your affairs appropriately. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna it don't look like nobody have anything to talk about, so let me get y'all this video, and then I'm gonna be out of here. I'm a short show for me tonight, because this interview was a really good interview him and I did. So that being said, I'm gonna play this last clip, and then the next one will. I know I sound like I'm preaching to you, but I can't reach you unless I reach that spiritual nature. So here we go. Let's get started. I always like to start with this because this here is a nice icebreaker. It's a definition, and I want to know how many black people we got in this room today. Huh? Wow. I'm impressed because I'll be having almost the whole room raising their hand when I ask that question. The whole room will ask, like, y'all not black? Y'all not black? Now, I'm going to have somebody read this, and I'm going to pick him out. Brother Ray back there. Take that to him. And then you can pass it on. We're going to look up the word American. And the first word is black. Read that nice and loud. I mean, so where everybody can hear that. Let me tell you what dictionary that is. You, bro. I'm picking on you because you have a different shade, and I want you to read that because that comes out with more force from you than it would come from me or anybody that looks like me. Huh?
The word black?
Black. Read it out loud.
Black. Black, pale, man, wine, livid.
Nope, slow down. Go back and read that again.
Black, pale, wine, livid.
Wan and livid is deviations of pale and bleached. But go ahead.
To become pale.
All right,
to turn
this is Akeem from Hindsight Radio. Right now, we have Dr. Mahdi on with us. Basically, what we're going to discuss, we're going to talk, we've been talking a lot about this new internet sensation, Dr. Samuels. Kevin Samuels, not Dr. Kevin Samuels, but
he's coming at it like a doctor, man. Brother in there dropping all kind of stuff on folks. So yeah,
right, yeah, he's coming in. Well, he's a lot of men been wanting to say,
indeed,
but they were afraid of being censored because of it. The culture we live in. If you say anything that's not along the line trendy or against what they want the narrative to be, you get censored. That's been the norm. And one group in particular is the modern women have been kind of getting away with a lot of things.
True.
Like I'll give you one of the biggest things they get away with, and that is cheating. Right. The narrative, all men cheat, all men are dogs. That's what you hear. But when I watch, I don't watch these shows. These shows like Maury Povich and Jerry Springer and those other shows, and even the courthouses, they're doing DNA tests for a reason, because there's a possibility that she cheated. Right? Why if women don't cheat, or they're not the cheating nature, why would we have DNA tests to check to see who child that is? Because it's they're just as likely to cheat as just as much as a man is like.
It's a human issue than,
right, that it is a man issue,
a particular sex issue,
right?
And that's the thing, just it's fascinating, because we even think about relationships just in general, man, and how we approach our relationships. There's a lot of secrecy, deception that enters into a relationship instead of just truth and transparency.
Right.
And that sets up a foundation for these kinds of occurrences to take place. And I think, one of the things with the brother, Kevin Samuels, one thing that he's just coming with truth.
Right.
And
it's
for a lot of people,
it's part of the
a lot of people can have difficulty with that.
Right. Oh, that's in anything. Yeah. People have a difficulty in accepting the truth. And I mean, even with myself, people have told me things I didn't want. Well, it was something I needed to hear, but I wasn't receptive to it at the time. And then when you sit back and you think about it, they do have a point. If you got more than one same person saying the same thing to you, then you really have to start doing some self-examination. Or you get into relationships and you're having the same thing happen in each one of these different relationships. You got to do some self-examination.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the key thing right there, man. That whole thing of self-examination. A lot of folks will do everything except that.
Right. They'll find anything to say it's you or it's something else. It's it's because I'm black. It's because I'm short. It's because I'm tall. All right, we had technical difficulties. Oh, they always doing it to me. Hang on, I'll get it straight. I apologize. Here we go. All right, this is King from Inside Radio. Started over. We have Dr. Mahdi on with us. Basically, what we're going to discuss, we're going to talk. We've been talking a lot about this new internet sensation, Dr. Samuels. Kevin Samuels, not Dr. Kevin Samuels, but
he's coming in like a dog, man. And dropping all kinds of stuff on folks. So yeah,
right, yeah, he's coming in. Well, he's saying what a lot of men been wanting to say,
indeed,
but they were afraid of being censored because of it. The culture we live in. If you say anything that's not along the line trendy or against what you want the narrative to be, you get censored. That's been the norm. And one group in particular is the modern women have been kind of getting away with a lot of things.
True.
Like I'll give you one of the biggest things they get away with, and that is cheating. Right. The narrative, all men cheat, all men are dogs. That's what you hear. But when I watch, I don't watch these shows. These shows like Maury Povich and Jerry Springer and those other shows, and even the courthouses, they're doing DNA tests for a reason, because there's a possibility that she cheated. Right? Why if women don't cheat, or they're not the cheating nature, why would we have DNA tests to check to see who child that is? Because it's they're just as likely to cheat as just as much as a man is like.
It's a human issue.
That it is a man issue,
particular sex issue,
right?
And that's the thing, just it's fascinating, because we even think about relationships just in general, man, and how we approach our relationships. There's a lot of secrecy, deception that enters into a relationship instead of just truth and transparency.
Right.
And that sets up a foundation for these kinds of occurrences to take place. And I think, one of the things with the brother Kevin Samuels, one thing that is come with truth,
right?
And a lot of people, a lot of people can have difficulty with that,
right? Oh, that's in anything. Yeah. People have a difficulty in accepting truth. And I mean, even with myself, people have told me things I didn't want. Well, it was something I needed to hear, but I wasn't receptive to it at the time. And then when you sit back and you think about it, they do have a point. If you got more than one same person saying the same thing to you, then you really have to start doing some self-examination. Or, you get into relationships and you're having the same thing happen in each one of these different relationships. You got to do some self-examination.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the key thing right there, man. That whole thing of self-examination. A lot of folks will do everything except that.
Right. They'll find anything to say it's you or it's something else. It's it's because I'm black. It's because I'm short. It's because I'm tall. It's because of her or him. It's the job. But never I believe from a spiritual standard, yes, we meet difficulties, but we have the ability to, no matter what people are doing out there, we can control how our life comes out to be. It doesn't have to be on this whole remote control just because allowing society to dictate what our outcome is. Like, for instance, we had this pandemic over the last year, and some people had a hard time.
Yeah.
Right. And some people did.
Yeah, and that's the thing with that.
Right.
But the narrative has been everyone's having a bad time.
Right.
Like I've heard it over, you hear this, and it's like the agreed upon narrative. 2020 was a really tough year, and 2021 tough for me.
It wasn't
Actually,
for me as
it was
well.
quite enjoyable.
Right.
And so,
It didn't
but
change my lifestyle
no,
at all.
nor did it for me. But the
Other than the
consensus,
mask thing, when you went
yeah,
to the stores dealing with that, but
yeah,
that was
yeah,
brief moments.
exactly, yeah.
Being
But the
uncomfortable.
consensus is, for the masses of people, 2020 was a hellish year, and now we're in 2021. Oh, it's more of the same, and so it's just the narrative of this negative perception that
Right.
has been so infused in the psyche of most people, that
Right.
how they're even looking at their own life. They could have all these beautiful, wonderful things going in their life, but because they've bought into the narrative that life is bad right now, is hard, and
Right.
people are dying, and you just fear for this, catching this disease or this virus, that's the perception through which they see the world, and it taints
Right.
the beauty
It
of it.
creates what
Yeah, absolutely.
if you believe in something, if you have a deep belief in something, you will see what you believe eventually. It's gonna always, it's an analogy I use a lot. You don't see red cars until you buy one, you know? So, okay,
Yeah.
he's got a red car, or even a particular car. If it's a red Jeep Wrangler,
Yeah.
you don't see a red Jeep Wrangler until you buy one. You don't see a lot of them until you buy one. That's because your focus is on that red Jeep Wrangler.
Mm-hmm.
So if your focus is on hard times, you're going to only see that for the most part. You might get some brief relief here and there and if you really pay attention to that brief relief, that's when you took a break from believing in that hard time. And then your mind shifted and said, oh, I'm going to have a good time today. And you had a good time. And then as soon as you started having a good time, you started thinking, oh, how long is this going to last? Oh, it ain't going to last long. And then next, it don't last long.
No.
We're defining every moment of our lives by what we think and say.
Absolutely. It really goes down to the beliefs we have and the expectations that are associated with those beliefs. And what's very interesting, they've done some studies where people who are in comas, who have no conscious awareness of self or their story or their past, it's extraordinary how rapidly the body heals.
Right.
Because they are no longer tied into the story of I got this, I got that.
Right.
And the body just heals. And they've even seen it with people who actually go through suffer from amnesia, where they lose the memory of who they were in their past, and to adapt this physiology and biochemistry to the new state of awareness that's occupying the space.
Right.
And if the whole story is gone, then you see extraordinary healing take place. So your internal thoughts, beliefs, your sense of self-identity have a profound influence only in what's I said, okay. I said, all right, this is kind of strange. Someone telling you to wrap your stuff in a leaf of, of a green.
Right.
I said, okay. So she does this. And he said, don't take it off for the next 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you wash with this, everything. He said, if it starts to wear down and break down, he said, you just wrap another one around it and seal it again. He said, but you just keep it. He said, don't ever, just keep it covered in this. It's at peace in her life when
every moment of our lives by what we think and say.
absolutely. It really goes down to the beliefs we have and the expectations that are associated with those beliefs. And what's very interesting, they've done some studies where people who are in comas,
Mm-hmm.
who have no conscious awareness of self or their story or their past,
Mm-hmm.
it's extraordinary how rapidly the body heals.
Right.
Because they are no longer tied into the story of I got this, I got that.
Right.
And the body just heals. And they've even seen it with people who actually go through, suffer from amnesia, where they lose the memory of who they were in their past. And the body begins to adapt its physiology and its biochemistry to the new state of awareness that's occupying the space.
Right.
And if this whole story is gone, then you see extraordinary healing take place. So your internal thoughts, beliefs, your sense of self-identity have a profound influence, not only in what's happening outside in your world, but also what's happening to the body temple that you occupy. And it's a very fascinating thing.
Right. So that means if you had amnesia, might be a way for the body to heal and protect itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's what's really interesting. I was talking to one of my mentors, and I don't know if it was his grandmother or his mother, but she suffered from Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
And from what he was telling me, he said she was the most happy, most just at peace in her life when all the story of what she had known about herself was no longer there.
Wow.
And it is a very interesting thing because the concept of self, the personality, the identity is actually in its nature fluidic. It can change and you can literally become anyone.
Right.
But you wake up every day and you remind yourself, this is my situation. Oh, I'm not making money. My relationships suck. Or, if any kind of negative story that you have, as soon as you wake up in the morning, you bring that story right back into the present moment. Remember, re-put yourself back together in this idea of you. And that's what you carry out for the day. But with that same respect, you could actually go in, like you said, go in and do that self-reflection and remember yourself in a whole new way. And then watch how your life changes and unfolds.
Right. See, it's, I mean, I think mainstream medical industry is catching on to it, or they caught on to it, but they're slowly trying to accept it that really it's you that's healing yourself, not any medications. It's your belief in those medications, because they've done trials. I think it was Dr. Bruce Lipton, I think his name is.
Yeah, Bruce Lipton, Dr. Lipton.
They done placebos.
Yeah,
they've done it to show that the body did better than the actual medication that they were giving people. Yeah. People who thought they were being treated with medication healed better.
Yeah.
So
they've even done dummy surgeries like that, where someone had a severe knee injury, and all the doctor did was just made an incision and then stitch it right back up, didn't do anything. And say, oh, the surgery went well. It was fantastic. We got everything
positive motivation.
Yep. And the body just completely restructured itself. The knee injury was completely restructured without them doing anything. They've made an incision in the skin and then stitched it back up.
So all of this thing, like your body doesn't do certain things. Like, for instance, you get an arm cut off, it won't grow back. we don't have that ability. But I think years ago, I was reading some articles and it said that the body does have that ability. If you remove just the part, it will regenerate.
It has the capacity. What was interesting is this. I actually met a woman in Atlanta. Before I actually moved here to Belgium, I was doing an Airbnb for a month.
Mm-hmm.
And the owner of this Airbnb, she lost the tip of her finger. And this doctor and told him what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And he told her to wrap her finger in a piece of chard or kale and keep it like just wrap it up and keep it wrapped.
Mm.
And I was like, what? She said, yeah. She's like, Dr. Mahdi, she said, just bear with me. Let me tell you the story. I said, okay. I said, all right. This is kind of strange. Someone telling you to wrap it in a leaf of, of green. I said, okay. So she does this. And he said, don't take it off for the next 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you wash with this, everything. He said, if it starts to wear down and break down, he said, you just wrap the one around it and seal it again. He said, but you just keep it. He said, don't ever just keep it covered in this. The tip of her finger grew back and she showed it to me. She showed me the before when it was cut off.
Mm-hmm.
So she not only grew bone, but she grew all the nail and I was like, explain that to me. The scientist came out then, okay. First of all, who's this doctor? It's I can't remember, unfortunately, I cannot remember his name, but he's an old school doc. I think he's like in his 70s.
Mm-hmm. And
he studied chiropractic. He was an allopathic doctor as well. And I think he also was osteopathic and did some homeopathy, naturopathy kind of stuff also. So he's well-versed clinician and physician, but he was of that old school mindset. And she said, yeah, he told me, she said, the leaves are actually literally have the same constituency of skin.
Right.
I was like, okay. I said, yeah, I get that. I get that. And she said, yeah. So in wrapping it wrapping my finger in this green leaf. And she said also, chlorophyll has the same it's constituted with the same molecular structure as our blood. I said, yeah, our hemoglobin. She said, yeah. So she said, so literally this, and she said also these leaves have stem cells in them as well. And so she said, this is what he explained to me, and putting this on there, you could help yourself heal. I remember Reverend Michael Beckwith telling a story one time about someone he knew who actually grew a limb back. And so that capacity there, I personally have not seen it outside of the finger, and that was me just seeing that after the fact, the results. But when you think about just how the body is designed and understanding that the cells are consistently replacing themselves.
Right. Why wouldn't it happen?
It makes it, that idea is there. And
you got a whole new body, every 7 years, I think?
Yeah. Roughly between 10 to 12 years,
right.
With bone tissue being one of those more slower tissues that will, come on in full replacement. But yeah, it's very interesting, fascinating thing. And when I was in medical school, one thing I did observe, as you're going through we were studying embryology, how humans are formed. And there's almost like an energetic blueprint that these stem cells begin to follow to create the body. It was like an energetic frame that these cells then fill.
Right.
And so that energy of who we are, and I was reading some articles actually this past week about the electromagnetic field of the body.
Right.
And how our body is literally just atoms and electrons that are bond together, but we're not really physical.
Right.
And that energy field that makes up the body, from a theoretical standpoint, and this is what people will feel when they cut off a limb, they have phantom pain. The limb's not there, but they still feel like the whole arm is there.
Right. They can still
So
feel.
so you're thinking about, just the nervous system and how it's designed and the electromagnetic field that the body emits. That idea that one can regrow a limb is there. And if you think about just as far as who we are as human beings in our connection to all other life, all life, for the most part, we're all made up of the same DNA.
Yeah.
And if you look at, for example, when you take a sperm, you take an egg, and you have that sperm inseminate that egg, and then it starts going through
mitosis.
Actually meiosis. It's like
Meiosis,
so when it goes through that process, at one particular state, at the blastocyst state, where you've gone to maybe 3 cell divisions,
Mm-hmm.
If you were to take that cell and you put it next to any other, like plant life, at that point, that particular state of that new emerging human could literally become anything.
Wow.
But again, as I was saying, based on that energetic blueprint, it guides those cells to become particular things. And that's what Dr. Bruce Lipton was doing,
Right.
based on the environment. And he was doing this with stem cells. You put them in a petri dish,
Mm-hmm.
and you give them the appropriate medium in which to grow. He said, and he dropped them in a culture medium. He divided the cells up, and he grew. It was one stem cell that he allowed to just go through mitosis over and over again. And then he had them like in 50,000 of the identical cells in one petri dish, 50,000 another, 50,000 another. And what he did was he was just changing the culture medium, the medium in the petri dish, to kind of help those cells grow.
Right.
The cells in one dish became lung tissue. The cells in another dish became liver tissue. The other dish became bone tissue. But it was the exact same stem cell.
Right. Just by changing.
So changing the culture medium, the environment, influence what happened with those particular cells.
So that reminds me of an interview I did with Dr. Daniels some months back, when she talks about, eating bone broth, drinking bone broth, and the cartilage of the animal. And she says that's what helps build back your collagen, give you back collagen, and also help build strong bones. You help your bones to heal. So that makes sense with the whole wrapping it up, the plant and growing. Because she didn't say anything about, did he tell her what to eat while she was doing it?
She was, but this is the thing, she was already eating plant-based.
All plant-based, okay.
All plant-based, yeah. So she was already, she was on that science when it came to the plant-based. She was doing, smoothies, putting in a lot of superfoods into the smoothies and things. So
right.
So she was already eating very well, high nutrient dense, very alkalizing type of dietary lifestyle.
Right.
So this here, I found it quite fascinating. And he was, when he came into town, unfortunately, I was consulting, and so I didn't get a chance to talk with him before he left, and I was like really disappointed in that, because I was like, I really wanted to pick this elder's brain and just
that's some good knowledge.
I want to know this. I want to know this medicine over here. Like, what is this science? But yeah, it's a lot, man. That I think I feel, especially as healthcare professionals, we're just scratching the surface. And one thing you said, Akeem, that was really deep, and I think people really need to understand, and I'll say it out here and just be very clear with it. As a doctor, I or no other doctor on the face of this planet can cure you of anything. I'll repeat. I, as a doctor, or any other doctor on this planet, cannot cure or heal you of anything. The power that created your body heals your body. The best thing we can do is guide and facilitate that power, or even better, teach you how to do it for yourself. Because it doesn't matter if it's a powder, pill, potion. All those things are doing is acting as a catalyst in the body.
Right. Just
for healing.
To work. Yeah.
Yeah. Or for poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to upregulate or downregulate. And even your food does the same thing. It's upregulating or downregulating. It's energy cultivating or energy draining. So there is nothing that you take exogenously that actually does the healing in and of itself. Your body takes those constituents of what you put into it and follows the natural instructions based on the vibration and based on the mechanism of action, if you will, that particular thing that you put into your body, and your body responds to carry out the appropriate response and reaction to that, for better or for worse.
Right.
And so no one outside of you is responsible for your healing. The physician that heals is within.
Right. Yeah. And one of the other things that you're right on target with that. I think it's all about what you believe in. She had explained heart surgery is not necessary because the body does, if you get one artery clogged up, it will rebuild that. It will create she called it
anastomosis.
Another path.
It creates, and that's what it's called, anastomosis. Well, it'll create a new. It will bifurcate. Create a new path, capillary path bed, whatever is necessary to continue to
get
sure that blood perfusion is there.
Right.
And so the thing is, what happens with individuals who end up having these heart conditions, this for example, like one who has a quote unquote blocked artery and now the heart is starving for oxygenated blood. The issue there is they don't stop the offending actions. Right. As far as, let's talk about beliefs, let's talk about stress, let's talk about the food consumption. And then they continue because of those things. They're not dealing with the offending actions. So there's this continuing and creating an inflammatory state within those vessels. And then that's how the heart tissue begins to die. And so literally what you're doing, the heart isn't attacking you, you're attacking it.
Right. By your actions. And one of the biggest cause, which kind of shocked me, the reason why it shocked me, because you hear so much from the mainstream medical industry. You hear these are the causes of heart disease and all of these things. Your bad eating, which I think that's a contributing factor.
Yeah, food is a contributing factor.
It's a contributing factor. I believe that is. And lack of exercise, that's a contributing factor.
Indeed.
But one of the biggest contributing factors that you never hear to mention is dehydration. Facts. Not enough hydration to help the body function properly. Yeah. That's and she says that's the number one reason why people are dying in their sleep from heart attacks or having a stroke. Because she said those two are pretty much the thing. When a stroke and a heart attack is basically dehydration. The body is starved and it doesn't have enough fluids to. Yeah. So one organ is, okay, they're all fighting for the same, for low resources.
Exactly.
Says, okay, this is it. I can't do it anymore.
Exactly.
So it goes into cardiac.
And so you just think about this, like your blood is relatively 90% water.
Right.
So if you are deficient and the source, if you're deficient in the main constituent of blood that the heart is needing to have in a continuous liquefied state, in order to saturate the body with oxygenated blood to feed all the cells, feed itself, and take care of all living parts of your form.
Right.
Yeah, setting you up for some issues.
Right. But you never hear. I've had even people, I had an uncle who was on dialysis, and the first thing they told him to do is stop drinking water. Don't drink a lot of water. I'm like, wait a minute, are you serious? Okay, you stop drinking water. The kidneys need water to flush out. I'm not a doctor, so I'm just knowing just my information that I have is based off what I've read. But so I'm gonna stop taking the one thing that I need to survive. How long can we survive without water?
Well, you can go actually. You can go if you are doing the spiritual. You can go over 4 days
without water.
Without water.
Okay. So
you can do a dry fast, no food or water for 40 days, and then this is biblical in the scriptures.
Right.
The prophets are all out there, in the wilderness doing the 40
but they're in the deep
nights.
Meditation, not moving, anything.
Exactly. They're just being still, still. And so that's why I said if you're doing the spiritual work, this is what is possible. But in general, most folks start checking out without any fluids coming into the body within a week's time or so.
Right. So, you're telling them, you're already having kidney issues and you're telling them not to drink water. Stay away from too much water. I'm like, it sounds like they're trying to keep you as a patient.
Well, the thing is, I see because they don't want to put the stress on the kidneys, but actually with the low water will actually stress the kidney more. For example, when I was in medical school, I actually did a month-long rotation at a facility up in Northern California where we did medically supervised water fasts.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had a kidney patient who was coming in, and he had 14% kidney function left. And he already had a stent in his arm for dialysis, and he's on the kidney transplant list.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor's like, if you don't get a transplant in the next 6 months, we don't expect your prognosis is not going to be looking too well. And so he came in, we couldn't fast him on just water because that'd have been too much of a strain on his kidneys. Right. So we just fed him the completely plant-based diet there. And it follows the hygienic philosophy, no added salt, no added sugar, no added oils. As it comes from nature, that's how you consume it, which is some herbs and things like that kind of add some taste. And he was juicing every day. And also drinking water. And we didn't put any restrictions on his water consumption. We were encouraging a substantial amount of that. Within 2.5 months, he went from 14% kidney function, a stent in his arm for dialysis, waiting on a transplant, to completely resolving his kidney issues, full functionality, and no need for transplant, dialysis, or any medications.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times, when you look at the current medical model as it is very fear-based. It's about attacking the body, attacking disease. We treat disease, and the focus is disease instead of health, instead of working with the body's natural abilities to heal itself. They look at how to suppress that function a lot of times to abate symptoms. And the symptoms are actually your best friend because they're letting you know
what's going on, right?
That and one of the things I always teach my students is that pathology is your best friend. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but here's the reason why. Let's look at the word pathology.
Mm-hmm.
And we break it down in its roots. So path comes from the Greek word pathos, meaning disease or ailment. Ology is the study of. So pathology is the study of disease.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at it also just from the phonetical standpoint of path.
Mm-hmm.
Path speaks about the journey you're on, your path.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you develop a pathology, your body is now telling you, you need to study your path. You're no longer on your path. You're off your path. You're not aligned with what you're here to be doing. And this is why we have this pathology, this imbalance. Right. And so when you get a quote unquote dis-ease or illness or any health issue, It is a beautiful gift that the body's giving you to tell you to pay attention, go within, examine your life. And then if you have the courage and the faith and the fortitude to make the change, your body adapts its biochemistry and theology to accommodate those changes. And that's law.
Right. Yeah. I think what we're dealing with is profit-based healing. So whenever you have profit-based healing,
that's a good
you're going to do what's more profitable, not for,
I love that.
not for the good of the patient, but what's good for their bank account. So,
Indeed.
Because when you do, I have all kinds of herbs in my cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
That's not profitable for the medical industry for me to know what I need to take if I'm feeling some certain symptoms. And the biggest thing I take is water. I say, if I'm feeling strange, first thing I take is a big glass of water.
Absolutely. Yes,
let's see what happens. I had a neighbor who called me up. Hey, I'm feeling kind of strange, lightheaded. I don't know what's going on. And I said, well, based on what you just told me, it sounds like you're dehydrated. But I drink a lot of water, that was the first response. I said, sometimes we kind of fool ourselves into thinking we drink a lot of water. And I said, for me, I said, drinking a lot of water is good, but it's when you drink it. I try to drink a couple of glasses of water when I get up and a couple of glasses of water before I go to bed. Mm-hmm. So, if I miss something in between, at least when I go to bed, I have hydrated so that my body can function properly while I'm trying to heal in my sleep.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, you probably did, but if you're drinking and eating, foods that depleting your hydration, like, salty foods, it's going to absorb that,
Exactly.
But that means you need to drink more, hydrate more, but they didn't, they because I'm not a doctor, they called me to see what I thought. I said, well, just drink a couple of glasses of water and then throw a small pinch of salt in the water at the same time. Just a little pinch of it. Yeah. And not enough to taste it, just enough. And drink that and give yourself about 30 minutes to see how you feel. Yeah. They couldn't wait. So they called the ambulance.
Oh, wow.
Hauled them off to the hospital. And the problem was hydration.
Yeah.
It was hydration. Oh, yeah. I wasted a lot of money. I said, yeah, that's why I said, wait. I said, if you're on the phone talking to me, that means it's not a medical emergency right now.
Yeah. So let me get this straight. So they call you.
Call me. I told them what to do.
And you shared some insights with them.
Right.
They didn't take that.
No.
Even though they called you for this insight, they didn't want to listen to it. They allowed the anxiety and fear to overwhelm them and drive them to call the ambulance, come get them and take them to the hospital. So the ambulance trip home about $3,000 to $5,000.
Could be, yes. It could be.
Okay.
It depends on how far you are.
Yeah. And then you get into the hospital.
That's another $3,000.
$3,000. So literally, let's be conservative. Let's say $5,000 for all. So this individual spent $5,000.
I got the other.
And I realized that. I realized the medical game
on the call
after I listened to a show from Dr. Daniels.
I basically got
and
it.
She broke it down. And I had the epiphany because it happened to me so many times.
Okay. Yeah,
she said, what happens is you feel like you're having a medical emergency. You call the ambulance. They take you off to the hospital. Or you just, even if you don't get an ambulance, you drive to the emergency room. Right? She said the first thing they do is hook you up to a drip, a saline drip. Right? They hook you up to these things, and you're sitting there waiting on the doctor for an hour. Usually emergency, you're waiting on that doctor for a while. An hour is a short time to wait on a doctor after you're in the room waiting, to be seen. Then when he gets there, all of a sudden the symptoms you had is gone. And you tell him, well, they're gone now since I got here. Something about this place is special. When I get here, I feel like I'm healed. She broke it down. She said, what happened was he just hydrated you. And all the problems you had went away. And I said, you know what? And I remember an instance years ago before I had children, before I was married. I had I got very sick. I don't know what it was. I lost a lot of weight. Like, it wasn't the flu. The doctor said it was something else. And plus, at the time, I had allergies, I had asthma, and he gave me all this medication to take at once, right?
Mm.
And then I'm going up the stairs in my home, and my legs just locked. They weren't like in pain. They just locked. I couldn't bend them, right?
Mm.
And I was like, what's going on? It like you almost had to snap to kind of force them, but it wasn't painful at the same time. So I was like, this is weird. So mom called the ambulance, went to the ambulance, sitting there for hours. But while I'm sitting there, guess what I'm on? This drip. Doctor comes, finally. Well, actually, the doctor never came. I felt better. I left the hospital because I was like, this is taking too long. I'm not going to sit here all night. And I walked home, which was blocks away from where I lived. I walked
no longer
never had the problem again,
yeah.
But I couldn't understand. I never figured it out until years later when she said it. I took all this medication and I hadn't taken enough water.
And so you're dehydrated.
I was severely dehydrated.
So let's share something with the people who are going to probably be listening to this. One thing, have you heard of a skin turgor test?
Oh, I never did. No, that's the first time.
It's an easy way to see how hydrated you are.
Mm-hmm.
What you do is you get the hand and you pull the skin. It should bounce back like elastic. Yeah. Right. If it goes down slow and takes a while to actually come back to it's
okay. Like mine's
exactly. Yeah.
That.
Yeah. And so that is an indication. So we do that. We'll do that a lot within evaluation for a patient who comes in and, and you just do a quick skin turgor test and see how much hydration is in, determine how much hydration is in the body. And so just a easy thing that people can do just to check yourself throughout the day. And sometimes I'll do that with myself and I'll see it'll go down slow. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing it going down. It's not all the way slow, but I can see a little.
Yeah. So when I see that, I was like, okay, I need to get some more water. But it's an easy self-test that you can do right in your home or anytime throughout the day, just to kind of check your hydration. And it was like essential for me when I was living in Arizona, because it is an arid environment and you don't actually feel, because the air is so dry, you don't even feel yourself sweat. But you're using water, and people could just pass out from dehydration, have heat strokes and all this kind of stuff out there. So one of the things that while we were in medical school, they were teaching us like, hey, yeah, make sure you're doing this. Always tell your patients to do the same thing. So they really were advocating the skin turgor test there because of the environment that we were in, especially in the summer. So it's something you can really just do very easy. Just pull your skin. And if it bounces right back, okay, it's an indication that your hydration is relatively good. But if you see the skin like taking a little moment to get back, it should be instant. If it's taking a little moment to get back, let's get some more water in you. And ideally, you should be at least consuming, like I always recommend, half your body weight in ounces anyways, to keep yourself hydrated. And that should just be your daily routine. If you are consuming a lot of fruits and vegetables, specifically fruits that are high in water solubility, you may not have to drink as much water because you're getting a lot of water from the fruits, especially as we enter in the summer, like things like watermelon. A lot of your melons are going to be just a lot of water. Cucumbers, things are just filled with water. So that can help in the saturation of you getting water in. But yeah, just simple tests, man. And I think just having people do that will be very beneficial for them.
Right. Yeah, I never knew that. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's very good to know. So I'm pretty hydrated. I think I use a couple of glasses more. So basically, what do you do? I remember we talked before. You focus on the whole being, the spiritual, the physical.
Yeah. Like the philosophy for Akan and Akan journey. Akan itself is from the Yoruba African language. It means one, but also means heart, mind, and conscience.
Right.
And when we come into this world, we come into this world whole. you have this physical form. You also have this life force, this spirit that is occupying this space. You have this amazing mind. You have this full, rich emotional expression of who you are. Then we instantly have a relationship with ourselves when we come into this world. We also are relating to our parents and our outside environment. We also have within us how we contribute, the gifts that we're bringing to this world. And then we also have the environment that we're a part of. So the Akan looks at you as a whole person. And we look at how you show up in this world in spirit, mind, emotions, your physical body, your relationships, your contribution. And contribution also entails, as an adult, your career, your finances. All that's a reflection of the value you're bringing into the world. Right. And then your environment is an extension and reflection of who you are and the consciousness just occupying the space spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Right. So we assess you as far as who you are in your inner world, the subjective you that no one else knows about, who you are in spirit, mind, and your emotions, and also your internal biochemistry and physiology. We assess those things and we see how you're performing in each of those areas, which we call these 7 areas of who you are: spirit, mind, emotions, body, relationships, contribution, and environment, the 7 domains of life mastery. And our potential on this planet and who we can be is based on our level of mastery in each of these domains of life as human beings. And so when we can look at how you're performing in your spiritual world, as far as, are you clear on your purpose? Are you clear on your values? Are you connected to something greater than yourself? Do you have a sense of meaning in your life? That's how you show up in this world, in the spirit of who you are. Then your mindset, the identity, the beliefs, the perception of reality that you hold about you, your self-concept, your thoughts, how those thoughts impact your everyday actions, impact, how you're showing up in the world. So we assess, look at who you are emotionally, your mood or your affect, how you wake up, the state you're feeling every single day determines. Every choice you make in life is an emotional choice. Every decision you make in your life is an emotional decision. And so your actions and your behavior are based on how you feel, your emotional state. So we assess those things and see how you are engaged in your day-to-day mood and state and how that's influencing your life. And then, of course, we assess the performance of the body and how it deals with adversity, its stress, how it is dealing with its nutrient potential as far as the body's capacity and its micronutrients, how it is dealing with digestion and assimilation of food. We also look at your messaging system that we call your hormones and how those messengers are conveying the message of who you are to all the tissues in your body that give your body the ability to perform its only purpose that it has, to keep you moving. And so we look at that. And then we assess how your relationships with yourself and relationships with others are working in alignment with who you believe yourself to be, or not working in alignment with who you believe yourself to be. And then, of course, like I said earlier, your value system as far as your contribution to the world, how that's showing up in your career, how it's showing up in your finances. And then looking at your environment. Is the environment that you're in conducive for growth and change? So that's the work of the Akan journey. That's what we do with the folks, the students we work with, and it's been extraordinary. The transformation that can take place.
Now, how long, what type of program if someone come to you and they need, the assistance? Is it based on the individual, how long they need, or?
Well, it's based on the individuals. We have two programs. It's 12 weeks, which is our foundational. And then we have our 12-month, which is our comprehensive prestige program, where we cover all 7 domains of your life. Within the 12-week program, we're looking at your body, and then we're also looking at the mind. So there are 2 domains that we primarily focus on within the 12-week program. And the reason why we start there with the body is because The body is the bridge.
Right.
The body is literally the portal through which who you are in this subjective spiritual presence that you are into this physical world and has a capacity through this physical form to express your uniqueness here on this planet. And so the body is vibrating at a low functional level. It has issues with dealing with adversity, dealing with stress, and it's limited in its capacity to afford you the energy to navigate this place because you're in pain, you're under stress, you don't have the proper energy levels to carry out your full potential here. We restore this capacity, since we restore the body's resilience. And in doing so, that gives you a higher frequency and a vibration in which you now can navigate in this world. And I've seen it over and over again as we change the physiology and biochemistry of the body by alkalizing it more, making sure you're getting nutrients, foods, restoring any imbalances, whether it's inflammation, digestive issues, whatever's going on there. The consciousness begins to shift for the person.
Right.
Because the biochemistry now has shifted.
Right.
And so your brain has more frequency to work with than at this lower frequency. And when you have a lower frequency, you're going to get lower expression of hormones. You're going to get lower expression of energy potential for each cell to afford you. And so when you make those shifts there, and also we're working on the belief systems, the consciousness and the mindset and all these things as well, and helping support that individual, that's the foundation. We get those two things in order, everything else in your life from there, we can help you achieve.
Right. Yeah, I think the spiritual aspect of anything is important. It doesn't have to be a religious, whether you're some type of orthodox belief system. It's just being spiritual, and I think to me, definition of spiritual is recognizing that everything you're seeing and experiencing it's all on you.
Exactly.
That's to me is the definition of being spiritual. Go in and seeing your own true potential and
absolutely
shutting down the narratives of what people think you should be or you should be or where you should be. And because most people are operating off of a program that was given to them. Belief systems and stuff. They have not taken their own belief systems and vetted it. You're like, well, okay, I believe, this guy died for my sins, but let me look at this a little further and see what this really means. What are we talking about? Where did it come from? Who came up with the idea? And I think that is the problem that most people have. They're just taking belief systems and running with it and placing their life on the line for it. And then 20, 30 years down the line, they have nothing to show for these belief systems. Nothing. Like, oh, I did all of this, and I'm still having the same issue. What is it? And it's very simple. You're looking for keys that you have in your pocket already. You're looking for those keys somewhere else. You're going to, whether it's a church building or it's some other thing. And a lot of people come to me for advice. I said, the best advice I can give you is look for the advice within yourself. Find your own truth. That's the advice the best advice I can give you. I can kind of give you an idea, because everything you're coming at me with is symptoms of a greater problem. And the greater problem is how you perceive yourself in this world. We've come out to believe in some of these belief systems that we are ratchet beings and we're always looking for some approval from a God that's we can't see, talk, or hear. He's doing all of these good things for me. But what happens when things go wrong? Who's at fault? See, when you place your success somewhere else, your other success has got to be placed somewhere else. They both when you're not, you got to blame something else. So you take full ownership of your successes and your failures, then you come complete. You say, well, hey, I take credit for that, and I'm also going to take credit for this not working out. And Now I can change these behaviors. Now I can think differently. And like you said, it all comes down to how you're feeding yourself, what you're watching on television.
Gosh,
Dude,
man, bro.
Because
I remember this, man. You and I, we're coming up around the same time.
right.
They say, we're giving you, these programs and more are coming to you. They used to say this on TV. These programs and more are coming to you based on blah, 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 sponsored blah, blah, blah. And no one asked, what do you mean by program? And what's being programmed?
Mm-hmm. And they all were programs.
They all were programs.
And they programmed us to believe, I'm still trying to purge some of these old programs.
Bruh. Seriously.
I mean, it takes a lifetime to get rid of them. As what they call us black or with color, whatever you want to call us. There was a time where we never would believe that we could be president of this, United States of America. People say, oh, you can do anything, but we in our mind say, they're not going to give us that job because why? We're black, right? Or we're African American, right? But now we see one who made it, and okay, that's a possibility now. It took someone else doing it for us to see it as a possibility.
Yeah.
Instead of if we were taught from the very start that anything is possible. Now, with that comes great responsibility. Because anything is possible, and anything is possible. The greatest good and your greatest bad can happen.
Absolutely.
But it's all on you and how you think and believe in yourself.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
It's spot on. I was just gonna say, the thing is, I've heard this over and over again, and I've said it a lot myself. That which we call God has done its part.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do your part.
Yes. And that's it right there.
Yeah.
I'll come from the Christian concept. It says that you must have dominion over all things. Right? And I think the Christian creed misses that part. Like, okay, well, at the very beginning, the commission if that's your belief system, first man and woman was given the creed responsibility to have dominion over all things.
Yes, all things.
That means that it is your responsibility now to have dominion over yourself and everything that is happening in your environment. Yeah. I gave you the tools. So why do you need me to come fix every time something goes wrong? You have the tools. Now, once you operate in your higher self and your divine self, everything just becomes automatic. And I think everything is automatic. Just if you're operating in your lower self, it becomes automatic that, okay, you're going to get all of this low vibrational experiences.
Exactly.
And you operate in your higher self, you're going to get all this high vibrational experiences.
Yeah.
It's
law is no respect of a person.
It's not biased. It's like people say, well, favor ain't fair. I say, yes, favor is fair when you really see it from another perspective. It's fair because it's giving you exactly what you're asking. This experience that this life that I'm experiencing, I'm getting exactly what I'm asking for. When I see I'm not making enough money, that means somewhere in my consciousness that I believed in not making enough money. I saw that in it. Now here it is. I'm making a lot of money somewhere in my consciousness. We have to take 100% of our responsibility for who is coming into our life, who is leaving. All of those experiences are a direct reflections of what we got going on in our consciousness.
Absolutely, brother. And the thing is, one thing I like to say to people, man, you can never outperform your beliefs.
No, you will not.
No matter how hard you try, you will never outperform your beliefs.
No, we will not. So if you're looking in your pocket, it's empty. There's a belief system there that believes it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And all the rich people, all the rich need to help us. They need to do this. We're having a hard time. No, they don't. They don't have to do anything.
And this is the thing. If we gave let's just use the United States, all right, as an example. If we gave every family, every household in the United States, $1 million in a matter of, I'll say, a year or two, you will have the same disparity of poor and wealthy. It would get back in the hands.
A year or two. I would say months. I would say months.
Perhaps so. Yeah, it would get back in the hands of those who have, and those who have not will have not.
Right. When I went to barbering school, and the teacher said, what you do in school is exactly what you're going to do when you get in the barbershop. So build good habits here, because you will take them into your career for the rest of your barbering career. And I know that kids who didn't show up for school or came in when they wanted to, didn't take time to be more precise. They went into the barber school and they went into the regular barbershops and did the same thing, and they didn't last. So it's about foundation. Like, I'm learning to play the guitar. The teacher said, listen, first couple of months, might get bored with it, because I got to teach you the foundation that builds on good guitar playing. You're going to be a lot of, and it's all repetition, doing the same thing over and over and over again. I'm playing a few songs now, quite a few now, but they're all, they're not chord type songs. They, one string to, one string after the other. But he says, once you learn these techniques, everything else becomes easy and gets exciting.
Yeah.
So one thing we haven't learned at an early age is the technique of how powerful our mind is. What we've learned how to do is to receive information, not question it, and just operate off of assumptions and presumptions of how life works, and not really knowing how you work. Everybody's giving us, and like you said, you could give people $1 million in a short amount of time. It'll be gone. Why? Because those same people that can't keep money are spenders, meaning consumers. They are taking their money and giving it to the rich.
It'll get right back in their hands.
It just, I need to get this. I need to get that. They're not thinking first and foremost that I need to, now I got $1 million. How do I make this grow? Before let me invest in something to make it grow before I give it away into something that I can never get back.
Exactly.
I've seen that happen. I've seen people get lots of money, and in a year's time, it's all gone. It's gone. And they're like, well, I got more. No, your first thing you need to do is make this thing multiply.
Yeah.
Make it work for you. But, that's what I'm saying. If you're not educated properly, you don't have the right foundation, you give people as much as you want, and they're always going to end up broke.
Yeah.
Again,
Exactly.
And they're still broke. Even though they got the $1 million, they're broke. But they just mentally broke, spiritually broke.
Yeah. And when the subjective world is as such, the objective reality can only reflect it.
Right. And it's not being cold that the rich are being cold and don't want to do it. They just know. I can give you as much as I want. But if you don't know what to do with it, if you don't mentally have the concept of how money works, I'm just throwing my money down the drain. This was that don't cast your pearls before swine. Exactly what you're doing. Yeah. I see guys young out there begging for money. Young, fit guy. I saw a guy the other day just sitting there with a sign up. And I'm saying to myself, if you could do that, you could walk around and ask people, can I wash your car for a couple of dollars? Somebody's giving you some money. Doesn't take months to go get a bucket and say, hey, listen, I'll come here and I'll just wash your car or do something for a couple of dollars. No, they just want to sit there and say, give me.
Yeah.
But they'll always be there, until they change their mind.
Absolutely. And it's crazy. I find that really fascinating, because what you said is so true. You have someone with a sound body that doesn't have a sound mind,
Mhm.
to use that body in such a way to put him or herself in a position where the current state they're in is no longer a reality for them.
Right. How much is how much is a case of water? $3 and something for 24 hours, a little small.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. I take that, go get a case of that, stand right there on the corner, $1 as people are driving up to the light. $1. I just made $24 off of $3 and something, and keep duplicating that.
Yeah.
People will buy $1. I'll be more willing to give a guy $1 for a bottle of water than to just give him $1 for just holding up a sign.
Yeah. Because you're now honoring the law of reciprocity.
Right. So what I'm saying is, even these people who call themselves having hard times, I lost my job. Okay, let me go get some water and let me sell this thing right here. Do whatever it takes to get some money. Here, water. People are gonna people drive. Oh, I need to go buy a bottle of water and stop at the gas station and get it. But here, this guy's got it. Here's $1. Boom, got me a bottle of water. But no, they're not thinking like that. They're not.
Did I tell you about? There's a scripture. I got this from Dr. Myron Golden. Second Kings chapter 4 verses 1 through 7.
You might have. I don't remember. Once I read the scripture, I remember the words of the scripture.
Yeah, it's like the woman, the oil, the pot.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
Right. So it's a very interesting story because you have this woman whose husband passed away, and he was in a lot of debt. And so apparently at that time, if you were in the debt, the creditors could actually come and take your children and put them in a bondage until they were of a particular age to pay.
We're doing that not too long ago.
Yeah,
a bunch of years ago they were doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
So she went to the prophet Elisha, and she was all distraught and crying and like man of God, please help me. And he's like, what would you have me do for you? And she told the story. He's like, well, first thing he asked her, he was like, what do you have in your house? He's like, all I have is a pot of oil. He said, okay, what I want you to do is you go to all your neighbors and borrow all their empty vessels, get as many as you can, and then you bring them back to your house, and you and your sons close the door, and you fill up every bottle you have with that oil. So she did as she was told. She went out there, asked her neighbors, borrowed from them, came back and had her and her sons fill up these empty vessels with the oil, and they had filled all the vessels they had, and they still had oil remaining. And then she went back to the man of God, and she was like, well, what do I do now? He's like, okay, now you go and sell the oil. Then pay your debtors, pay what you owe, and you and your children live off the rest. So he didn't say, oh, well, let me see what I can do to give you.
He told her what to do. He
said, go in and do a self-inventory. Your salvation is in your house. It's already there. You just don't see it. But she was open to receive instruction. She sought a teacher, a guide, and was open to receive instruction and followed. She was coachable. She followed what he said. And she set herself up for a financial breakthrough for the rest of her life. And she could take care of her and her children, her family, because she looked at the resources she had within herself. And so as you were talking about that guy on the corner, and you brought up the example about just going and buying a 24 case of water, we have so many resources that we don't even acknowledge or see the opportunity that's sitting there for us.
There's plenty. It's enough. And we have these social media platforms that we can use for whatever we really want, positive, use it for negative. I see people just go into other people's content and critiquing their content. And that's their platform.
And that's their platform.
Right? Just talking. They're not even coming up with any ideas. Their idea is, I'm going to see what this guy is talking about, and I'm going to critique his stuff. People are listening to that too.
Yeah.
Like I said, the guy Kevin Samuels, he's a hot name right now. So we got so many people taking his content.
Yeah.
Like this one guy got only 6,000 subscribers, but his views is like 12,000, 20,000 because he's using this guy's platform to boost his platform.
Yeah.
You know, I see that clearly. I respect it. You know, personally, I want to be a person who want to be a trailblazer. You know, I want to talk about my ideas and what I think. And I might, you know, reference someone else's content. But I really, you got people who are trailblazing. And it's just people who are just going to follow the trailblazers. And that's all. Everybody have their job to do.
They got that. Yeah.
Thing, you know, and that's cool. Like you're coming up, you know, there's other healing programs out there, but you're creating your own space.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
To get people to come to you, because people are going to come to you because they may not like that other guy. There's something about him they don't like. You know, people have we are what you call light beings, meaning we attract. There's a certain space of people that are for us to be able to communicate and vibe with and connect with, and who will listen to what we have to say. And then there's another group of people that's there for other light beings to listen to. But it's so many to go around. We're not running out of this space.
No,
we're not running out. You know, you got people who go from one light into the next. You know, this guy's got something I want to hear. I want to go there. I do that. Oh, wow. I like to hear what he has to say. Yeah. And I think Kevin Samuels, his topic is, he's a light bringer too.
Indeed.
In a different space. And he's doing it at a perfect time when we have a pandemic where people are really sitting back, reflecting on, wait a minute, I've had all of these beliefs about me not needing a male counterpart, a man. But at the end of the day, I'm here, and it's a possible we might have a food shortage. I'm here by myself. Who's going to protect me? Who's going to be here if somebody come kick down the door? You know, it takes time for 911 to get there. They usually fix things after they happen. So I want somebody here while they happen or before they happen. You know, these are the things that people got caught up in and didn't realize how much we all needed each other. You know, same thing with the guys. You know, they kind of may push women to the side, but we need women for that nurturing side.
Absolutely.
Because why do we need a woman for the nurturing side? Because we go out there and we deal with all kind of adversities, and we're okay with that. But if you want to come home to some softness,
some peace,
you know, pitch voice with a soft voice who can talk and just her voice will heal you.
Just soothe you.
That's why we need each other in everything we do, you know, and when we all need to be reprogrammed in a better way. Because we've been this programming we got that we allow television and mainstream media and every other outlet has not helped us. Even in our religious beliefs, it has screwed.
Exactly.
You know, and if you can't see that by now, that all of this stuff we've been doing up until this point is just not working, and it's time to look at some different ways of doing things, I mean, then you're still asleep. Because, you know, I grew up in a very religious household.
So did I.
I discovered the power within that I was very powerful without. You know,
exactly.
You know, it came from within. You know, before that, I didn't know what I was gonna do. You know, if I lost a job, what's next? Because I was always looking for answers over here, over there. And when it came to religious ideologies, I was looking, okay, this church ain't working. I'm gonna go to this church. This Bible's no good. That Bible is better. And then I read that, but this Bible's just as bad as the other one. It was just this vicious cycle of looking for myself in things, in people.
And what did you have to do?
Oh, I had to cuss God out. I literally cussed God out one day. You know, my wife had left. I came home to an echo. Oh, hey, where's everybody else? It was just like, what? Then I noticed certain things were missing. And I had to sit down and I cussed. I said, listen, I did all of this stuff. I went to at that time I was, affiliated with Jehovah's Witnesses. I went to the Kingdom Hall. I did everything you said. I'm the head of the household. And I had a screwed up view on that. You can't give a young guy without proper guidance that he's the head of the household and don't give him the tools, the know-how to be an appropriate head of the household, because he can screw that up every time. Yeah. And I just got to the point where I was cussing out. I said, man, I want the effing truth. I was cursing. And then as I said that words rolled off my lip, and I said, I don't want to hear from anybody else but you, God. I'm speaking in my mind to some God in the sky. But then a voice went off in my head, which was my voice, of course, said, well, you don't know me because all of what you know comes from somewhere else. All of what you believe in comes from a book. Someone told you who I am. And it was like it was like an explosion of awareness went off. Like my whole consciousness shifted from outward to inward. It went, oh, I gotta look at. I had to really come to terms, but I had to throw everything I thought I knew about God, religion, spirituality in the trash and start from scratch like a baby. And the scripture that came to my mind is, if you could be like this little child, then you can enter the kingdom of heaven. I gotta act like a child and act like I know nothing. And learn this stuff all over. And then I realized where God really resided. It was the God in me speaking to me, saying, hey, here I am. You're looking over here. I've been here all the whole time trying to tell you.
So you exactly. So you had to be still and know that I am.
Right. Just it didn't come out of a book, anything. And I realized my greatest truths, this is just personal experience. And that's why I try to tell people. And when a person really is not conscious of where their power lies, they don't get it. But it's okay. Yeah. I still tell them. I said, listen, none of this stuff you're doing is going to work until you figure out who you are within, until you know where your power really is.
Yes.
I said, you may not get me right now, but you will get me. Yeah. Because everybody at some point, even when this body expires, comes to know who they really are. There's no escape from that.
Yep. And that's one of the things that we like to say within Archon, we're helping you take the power of who you are back into your hands.
Right.
Because there's an outside. Like we said, the power that created the body heals the body. You are that power. And the more relationship you cultivate there, everything outside
relationship you can have is with yourself.
Bro. Like I was listening to this one talk, and they're just talking like, oh, relationships out here and this and this, and it's kind of dawned on me, man, that every relationship that you have has an expiration date. The only one that doesn't
is yours.
Have an expiration date. It's the one you have with you.
Yes, it never. We could sit here and get married, and with a woman, we love her. You love your woman, but eventually that relationship will come.
It has an expiration date
to death. Yeah. So really, you're just experiencing people on a temporary level, whether it's years or centuries. You're experiencing a person, and they're coming into your life to enhance it. And even in difficult times, what I'm coming to understand is, even when you're having a difficult time, that is enhancing you, because you learn from that.
Yeah.
Learn from those moments. I know at times it seems frustrating. And reason why it mostly seems frustrating is because you're not accepting something.
Yeah.
Our greatest suffering comes from non-acceptance of what is happening to us right at that moment.
Exactly.
once we embrace, okay, this is happening to me. Let me, then you can work it out. But I can't accept it. This ain't supposed to happen. Well, if it wasn't supposed to happen, why did it happen? It happened. But that is one of the, we like you said, our relationships with ourselves is the permanent relationship.
That's the one, man. We came into this world, even if you a twin, you come into this world as one, and you're gonna leave as one. Like, you're not taking anyone with you. Even if they expire at the same time, you still not taking them with you. so yeah, when you just look at this relationship I have with me is the only one that will ever be with me from start to finish. Every other one expires.
Right.
So the most you can do and the most we can do is make the most of ourselves, relationship we have with ourselves, and then let the fruit of that be experienced in all the relationships that we encounter.
Right. Yeah, God. That's yeah. You once you know yourself, then to know God is to know yourself.
That's it, man.
That's it. Can't say it no simpler than that.
Yeah, I think Neville Goddard said this. I was reading. I think it was in Your Faith is Your Fortune. I think he said something like, "Your faith in God is reflected in your confidence in yourself."
Right. I agree with that. That's and that goes to say, well, did man make God or God create man? Which one is it? It's like the chicken before the egg question. And I think to some degree, man, for the most part, certain men have created God, and we've accepted their definition of God. And that is where our dysfunction starts. When we accept someone else's concept of God. Because anybody else's concept of God is a dysfunctional God.
Yeah.
That's anybody else's. And no, well, hey, keep doing it that way and see how it turns out. I can't, I'm not here to challenge your beliefs or anything. I'm just saying, once I discovered what was within, because no voice from out of the sky spoke to me. It was a voice in the moment of because I really wanted the truth and I was really looking. I said, what is the truth? And I was so passionate about it and angry about it at the same time that I'm like, hey, something's not right here. I'm missing something. The answer came. It was like just out of just boom. But that came from within me. Came out of me like, oh, now you're ready to listen. Now you're ready to pay attention to where your power really is. Yeah. It was like, okay, that's and called all of those curse words, but but check this out. You do you realize you've been believing what everybody else said who God is, except for you checking it out for yourself? It was like, oh, that was a big blow. Although that epiphany came, like, whoa, that awareness came.
Yeah.
It's almost like looking out at myself, becoming aware. And then it became bitter because now, once I started challenging on my beliefs, now I started to think about, well, what is my mother going to do? My father, they raised me a certain way. I'm going to be disrespectful. All of these counteracting thoughts, but I kept pursuing it and I kept looking into it. And just to tell you another thing I had looked into, witchcraft, which is, as a Christian, is stay away from.
Oh, right? Yeah. Blasphemous, heresy.
Don't do this. And a lot of other stuff I looked into, right? And when you grow up as a Christian, you believe it's demonic. And when I looked in it, one of their, I guess, belief systems in that is they believe in the elements: earth, wind, fire, air. 4 elements, 4 powers, right? So, and I looked in it more, and it was crystals, healings, and stuff. I said, wait a minute. There's nothing demonic about this. I see these symbols, which I don't really understand, but I also see these symptoms sometimes in Christianity also. Then years later, I picked up a Gnostic Bible. And that was a Christian, Gnostic Christians, and they believed in the elements as well. I said, wait a minute, this is a connection here. So then I started to realize that what they're calling witchcraft is another form of Christianity that they didn't want the public.
In the books. Yeah, they didn't want it in the books.
Right. I said, didn't want the public to have. And so all people said, well, this is the view of God. And this view of God is you believe in this guy's going to come and fix all your problems eventually. You just wait and do nothing, basically. Yeah. But get on your knees and pray and hope that he answers your prayers.
He can save you.
Right. So I was like, wow. I said, but and then I started looking into other things, Egyptian Book of the Dead. And I realized the Egyptian Book of the Dead had a lot of similarities to the Bible in some of the things it was saying.
Well, it's an older text.
Older
so, yeah.
than this. So somebody's doing some plagiarism here. So, I mean, I'm gonna be straight up with it. I said, somebody's doing some copying. I said, it's amazing how these are all saying the same thing under different titles. And then I looked at Hinduism and then Buddhism. I said, well, this whole be peaceful and love everything is Buddhism and Hindu, all of these things sounds a lot like what Christ was talking about. Right? Buddhism is about meditation and things like that. And I'm like, isn't that what Christ did for 40 days? He meditated, he fasted. And
exactly.
I said,
yeah, exactly.
I said, interesting. And it just became one thing after the other. Then I realized, wait a minute. We as a people have made it all up. We made up our belief systems, and then we made our idols, and we believed in what we created with our own.
You know what's very interesting, brother, with that about the whole beliefs. Like literally, all of it's made up. Like first of all, your thoughts, your beliefs, your feelings are not real.
Right.
They do not. They do not exist in the 3-dimensional plane of space, time, and matter. Like I can't open your head up and find your beliefs.
Right.
I'll find your brain tissue, and these kind of things. And so, everything that you tell yourself about you is made up. Right. And actually relying all the right. And this is one thing that Dr. Myron Golden was saying, and he said this. I was like, he said, "You're lying all the time." I was like, he said, "You're making it all up." He said, when your imagination, he said, even when you're thinking about something, for example, like, okay, if I think about me getting up from this chair and walking around the corner into the kitchen, I could have a thought, oh, if I get up from here, I'm gonna walk and I can trip over the rug and break my neck. I just made that up. Or I'm gonna get up and walk around the corner and go into the kitchen and get a drink of water. I just made that up. It doesn't exist until I carry out the physical actions and bring it into this plane to make it manifest. Right. So everything, we're making it all up.
Right. And that's when you understand what reality really is. What is reality? Because my reality is definitely different from yours.
Yeah, it's relative.
We're in the same church, believing the same belief system. Your God is still different from the God I have. Your perception of that teaching is still different. You know, that's why you have so many infighting in the religions. This is why we have so many sects of different religions, because of they started out as one and then I don't agree with that. I'm going to go do my thing, you know? So yeah, you're right. We are making it all up.
Yeah.
So what we need to start doing is making up things that are more positive.
That serve you.
Positive. Absolutely. That serves you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have an imagination, but use it to build with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Man, this was a great conversation.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Time
Yeah, man.
appointments to get to. So tell everybody how to find you, and
Yeah, absolutely. So the website is theakonjourney.com. Akon spelled OKAN. So theakonjourney.com. You can actually get me on Instagram at the Akon Journey. And also on Facebook, you can find me the Akon Journey with Dr. Madi. I have a page there. I'm Dr. Madi Brown on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, also, we're going to be putting together next month, the week of May 24th. We're doing pretty much mastering your anxiety and panic attack 5-day challenge for folks to really help them overcome the anxiety and those who are experiencing panic right now with this quote unquote COVID era that we're in. So we're going to, in 5 days, we're going to give you some extraordinary tools. So if folks are interested in that, just DM me on Instagram. We'll be getting the landing page up here soon. But if you're interested, definitely just DM me at the Akon Journey, on Instagram or on Facebook, and I'll definitely keep you updated on what we're going to be doing. I also have a YouTube channel called The Inner Work.
The Inner Work.
The Inner Work. Yeah. So we're putting up videos and things there as well. This one will be up on there for sure, also for folks to see. So so that's how people can get a hold of me. And I'm really excited about having an opportunity to come on and just brother us dialogue the way we do, because we get into it.
Yeah, I'd like for us to do that, and as well as some of those people you've been connecting with. What was his name? Beckwith, I think his name was.
Yeah, Reverend Michael Beckwith. Yeah.
Beckwith.
He's a little more. Yeah, I have to definitely reach out to that brother. Also my mentor, Dr. B, man, another really good brother.
Mm-hmm.
These elders have been out there, man. Just like
listen, I don't have much. I just want to hear what they have to say. I just want to be that person to just hear the knowledge that they're gonna and wisdom that they'll drop.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thanks, Dr. Madi. Once again, it's always a pleasure to talk with you and have these conversations. I'm sure we're gonna do it again.
Yes, sir. Definitely, always a pleasure.
All right, peace. Take care.
Peace. Take care.